The ancient history of Egypt has been one of the most captivating subjects in the world for centuries. It's often synonymous with the mighty pyramids, monumental structures, and famous pharaohs like Ramses II, Tutankhamun, and Cleopatra. However, buried in the depths of this rich history, there lies a story that has largely remained untold: the story of the Black Pharaohs of Egypt. These rulers, often overlooked in mainstream narratives, held the crown of one of the most powerful and influential civilizations in the world. To understand their significance, we must journey through time to uncover the story of these rulers who came from Africa, ruled Egypt, and left an indelible mark on its history. For centuries, Egypt has been seen through a Eurocentric lens, often portraying its ancient rulers as lighter-skinned and removing the African roots of the civilization from the historical narrative. The notion of Egyptian pharaohs as black or of African descent has often been dismissed, sometimes even ridiculed. However, recent studies and discoveries have revealed that Egypt's historical legacy is deeply intertwined with Africa, and many of the great pharaohs were indeed black Africans. The story of the Black Pharaohs starts in a time long before the well-known dynasties of the pyramids. The 25th dynasty, also known as the Kushite dynasty, is one of the most pivotal chapters in this untold history. The Kushites were a people who lived in what is today Sudan, south of Egypt, in the Kingdom of Kush. This kingdom was known for its mighty rulers, formidable warriors, and rich culture. It was here in Kush that the first of the Black Pharaohs emerged, bringing with them a cultural exchange and a political influence that would shake the very foundations of Egypt. The rise of the Kushites to power in Egypt began with Piye, also spelled Pianki, who became one of the most prominent Black Pharaohs in history. Piye, a warrior king from the Kingdom of Kush, conquered Egypt in the 8th century BCE. His campaign to take over Egypt wasn't driven by mere military conquest, but rather by a desire to restore order to a kingdom that had fallen into disarray. Egypt, during this period, was divided into various competing city-states, and Piye saw himself as the rightful ruler who could reunite the land under one banner. His military prowess, combined with his deep reverence for the Egyptian gods and culture, made him a formidable leader. Piye's success was not an isolated event. After him, his successors, including Shabaka, Taharqa, and Tantamani, continued to rule as pharaohs of Egypt. Shabaka, Piye's brother, solidified the Kushite presence in Egypt, and under his reign, the 25th dynasty reached its peak. The Kushite rulers embraced Egyptian culture, religion, and traditions, but they also brought with them their own distinct identity. The Black Pharaohs of the 25th dynasty were not just rulers. They were cultural bridge builders who fused the best of Kushite and Egyptian traditions. Taharqa, another prominent ruler from the 25th dynasty, is particularly noteworthy. His reign marked the height of Kushite influence in Egypt. Taharqa is often remembered for his military campaigns, which included efforts to defend Egypt against Assyrian invasions. Despite his best efforts, the Assyrian Empire eventually defeated him, but his legacy remained strong. He was remembered as a great leader who helped preserve Egypt's sovereignty, and his rule symbolized the power and cultural importance of the Black Pharaohs. Taharqa's reign was also significant because of the building projects that he initiated, including the construction of temples and monuments in Egypt. He invested heavily in religious sites, contributing to the grand architectural landscape that Egypt is known for. This fusion of Kushite and Egyptian influences during the 25th dynasty helped to create a unique blend of African and Egyptian culture that was celebrated for centuries. But what was it about the Black Pharaohs of Egypt that made them such enduring figures? Their power and influence were not solely due to military might or territorial expansion. The Black Pharaohs represented the strength of African identity and culture, and their rule was a symbol of the power of African civilizations in the ancient world. Their legacy was built on the principles of leadership, wisdom, and spiritual reverence, which they shared with their Egyptian subjects. One of the most compelling aspects of the Black Pharaohs was their connection to the Nile River, which served as the lifeblood of both Kush and Egypt. The river was the source of fertility, and its waters were believed to be sacred. For the Black Pharaohs, the Nile was not just a geographic feature. It was central to their identity and the prosperity of their kingdoms. Their ability to harness the power of the Nile and to use it to build an empire that spanned both Kush and Egypt was a testament to their understanding of the land and its resources. The 25th dynasty ended when the Assyrians overran Egypt, forcing the Kushite pharaohs to retreat back to their homeland in Kush. Despite their departure from Egypt, the legacy of the Black Pharaohs endured. The monuments, temples, and statues they left behind continued to inspire generations. The Kushite rulers had integrated themselves into the fabric of Egyptian society, and even though their rule was short-lived in Egypt, their cultural and spiritual influence remained. For many years, the achievements of the Black Pharaohs were largely ignored or dismissed by mainstream historians. The narrative of Egypt's history was often shaped by the idea of an ancient civilization that was separate from the rest of Africa, and the contributions of Black Africans to Egypt's greatness were minimized. However, in recent years, there has been a growing movement to recognize the importance of the Black Pharaohs and their place in Egyptian history. Modern scholars, archaeologists, and historians have begun to reassess the history of the Black Pharaohs, shedding new light on their legacy. They have uncovered evidence of the Kushite rulers' influence on Egypt through inscriptions, art, and monuments that celebrate their reign. This has sparked a renewed interest in the 25th dynasty and the broader history of Africa's contributions to ancient civilization. The Black Pharaohs not only ruled Egypt, but were also key figures in the broader African world. Their legacy extends beyond the borders of Egypt and Kush and touches on the cultural, spiritual, and political development of Africa as a whole. They were part of a larger African tradition of powerful kingdoms and empires, such as the Kingdom of Aksum, the Mali Empire, and the Songhai Empire, which contributed to the growth of African civilization. Despite the challenges that come with rewriting history, the story of the Black Pharaohs is one that deserves to be told. It is a story of resilience, strength, and cultural pride. It is a story of rulers who stood at the helm of one of the most powerful civilizations in the world and who shaped the destiny of both Egypt and Africa. The Black Pharaohs of Egypt were not just leaders. They were symbols of African greatness, and their legacy is something that we must all acknowledge and celebrate. As we look to the future, it is important to remember that history is not static. It is constantly evolving as new discoveries are made, new voices are heard, and new perspectives are introduced. The untold story of the Black Pharaohs is one of the most important pieces of history that has yet to be fully appreciated. But with ongoing research and scholarship, it is a story that will continue to be uncovered and honored. In conclusion, the Black Pharaohs of Egypt are a vital part of the history of Egypt and Africa as a whole. Their reign during the 25th dynasty represents an important chapter in the legacy of ancient civilizations and serves as a reminder that Africa's history is deeply intertwined with the history of the ancient world. These rulers were not just conquerors or military leaders. They were cultural icons who helped shape the civilization of Egypt and the broader African continent. By learning more about the Black Pharaohs and their contributions, we gain a deeper understanding of the rich, diverse, and interconnected history that has shaped our world today.